stinky stuff. No, neat stuff.
Hi there, Scary Gary. Glad you guys came back for another week. Today we're going to talk about something we don't want to talk about, but unfortunately, or fortunately, it's what we have to, and that is sewer connections on an RV. We're going to specifically talk about full hookup connections. All right, the very first thing we need to really talk about is it's probably good to put some gloves on, and just one-time use, throw them away. It's not good to recycle these gloves. When I got the original Loretta, they gave us a starter kit, which gave us the water hookups, some toilet paper, and a 10-foot sewer line. Our two Lorettas had two sewer connections. One for the kitchen, which is a gray tank, and the second one is for the bathroom, which is actually a gray tank and a black tank that are combined, which have two separate valves that open them up. So 10 foot of hose didn't quite even do that much. And that's the one thing I find at the very beginning is where you're going to park your trailer. Are you going to be able to get your sewer hose to hit the right spot? And are we going to have to hook this hose up and then try to hook that hose up? And we're talking our sewer hoses are one's up pretty well at the front edge of the slide, or pretty close to the front edge slide. The other one's close to the end. So, I mean, there's distance in between. I mean, 10 feet's actually pushing it to get from one spot to another. So it really cuts down what you can do. The first thing I did was buy a Y, which allowed me to connect both sewer hoses into dumping out into one spot. Now that means the second thing I had to buy, or at the same time I had to buy, was additional sewer hoses. And when I did this, I found the best thing to do is buy different lengths. And I like to buy the rhinos. I have a link in the show notes that are collapsible, so they're easier to store. And I basically got two 10-footers, a 15-footer, and I got two 5-footers. And what that does for you is it allows you to kind of mix and match and put things together, because there's times that 5-footer actually will work for just one part. There's times that the 10-footer you need to put a 5-footer on it. It just makes it so much easier to work with all kinds of different combinations, because when you pull into a trailer spot, you gotta look at, okay, is my slide gonna hit the trees? Is my electricity gonna reach? Is my water gonna reach? And if you have more combinations, it gives you more options. So, it's like, okay, this is the best little spot we can beat here. And are we gonna have trouble with the hoses? No. So you can see how these hoses are short when they're compact, and then they are a lot longer when you pull them out, so they're a lot easier to store. Other things that I need, which the first one, I didn't really need it as much on the original Loretta, but Loretta 2.0, something about the caps. They're hard to unhook. So I saw these little sewer wrenches. They were like they sold them in twos. They're very inexpensive, but you basically can just put it on your cap and open it up. In addition, when I was looking there's times you get to the campground and they put a sewer cap down, and somebody has really put the bully on it or whatever, or maybe it's sat there for a while, who knows, whatever, and you have hard times, so you're trying to find yourself a big water pump pair of pliers to put on it. And then even some of them don't have the big square at the top, they actually have a slot in them. And I was able to find a wrench for the sewer cap also. But when you put it back, don't tighten it back up. Be considerate for the next guy. But I've had to use it on more than one occasion. The other thing that we need to really talk about is sometimes they put these connections directly under the slide. So it's always kind of better to hook them up before you bring your slide out. Either that or you're doing a lot of crawling around on your hands and knees.
Next thing we want to mention is
the little slinky that slopes the pipes so that if you have it open, it'll drain out and not hold little pockets of little treasures, which we don't want to find out about later. In addition to having the little slinky type scenario that you pull out there that puts a slope, which I actually have two because I have two connections, sometimes I use my blocks to support my T depending on what the situation is, because you pretty well want it to run downhill so nothing holds up. It's going to make a lot better cleanup. The next thing I want to talk about is sometimes the sewer connection isn't a screw-in type when you can screw it in there and set everything up. So when you put your elbow into the receptacle for the sewer and it doesn't have any threads, I have these weights that go over the top of it that will hold it down so that hopefully whenever you do open your valves, it's not going to blow out of there, or if somebody's not going to hit it, it's going to keep it a little more in place. The next thing is your clean out hose. If you have a black tank flush, last thing, do not use your freshwater hose for your black tank hose.
My waterline hoses are white.
My black tank hoses are orange. I've got one 20-footer and I got one 10-footer. So most of the time I can get by with just using the 20-footer. But there's times I need to have both, and it's good to have those options when you make your connections. We also need to talk about, since we can wash our tank out, but there's also chemicals you can put in your tanks to keep them clean. Fabroso itself is actually a pretty good chemical that loosens everything up in there. Lastly, I want to talk about is where do you store all this? And I've got one big tub. I try to keep all of my sewer items in, just like I try to keep my water items in another tub. And it's just getting the right size and getting all the right components in it. And that way you'll have it all right there. When it comes time to set your trailer up, you open it up, you figure out what you got to use, you put it in there. When you get done, you wash it all off, you put it all back in. The COVID has kind of made this a very big issue, and it also has made it so we can still do some camping, because most of your restrooms at the campgrounds, they are closed down. And it's understandable, we all want to be safe. So when you have your own facilities, you're going to have to be keeping them up. Therefore, you're going to have to hook up your sewage, drain your tanks, and these are just some of the tricks I've learned along the way. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this not rather happy subject, but rather important subject. And I sure hope to see you guys next week.
If you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Turn on your post notifications.
Put the comments down below. Subscribe and you make me happy.